I think we even can make record of this explanation if there is so many difficulties with it. So, our first activity is activity A. This is the first activity in project and there is no predecessor for it. That's why we put it at the beginning. And at our Gantt diagram, this is our Gantt diagram, what it is. Gantt chart or Gantt diagram as you wish. This is visualization of duration of activity in period according to time that must be spent to cope with this. Activity A. We've got 2 weeks duration. How we should calculate our network diagram? Every time our first activity should start at the first week, day, hour, and so on. So it must be 1. Duration of activity A is 2 weeks. In this network diagram, we should put here number of week or day period when this activity should be finished. Okay, if we started at the beginning of the first week, the end will be the second week. According to this, we should consider activity B is a successor to activity A. That's why activity B could be start only after activity A is finished. It's important. That's why here must be the third week. On the second week, we finish our first activity A and we start the next on the next week. Duration of activity B is 3 weeks. Okay, how we should calculate here the duration, the end. If you want just to calculate here a network diagram, it must be 3 plus duration minus 1. So we've got 5. What does it mean? It means that activity B will be finished on the 5th week. There is specific instruments how to calculate this network diagram. We call it as forward pass and reserve pass. This is forward pass. According to it, we calculate the earliest beginning. One moment. This is description of this cell. One moment. Haven't. I'm sorry, I have forgotten to switch off the video. Oh my God. Okay. Listen again. The first activity from this project is activity A. This is start. This activity has no predecessor. That's why it is on the beginning on the first week. Duration is 2 weeks. That's why how we could calculate the earliest beginning. Earliest in these cells, meaning is this one. We use forward pass to calculate the earliest start and the earliest finish. And on reserve pass, after, we will calculate how to find out the latest finish and latest beginning. Right now, we're working with earliest beginning and earliest finish. Okay. I hope it's clear. If you have any question, put it right now in the chat and I try to answer you right now. Okay. Activity B, according to this description, has one predecessor, activity A. This is described in dependencies. You should find out these dependencies yourself. Like in this project that you have sent me by the author is Chen M. Yen, a project, student recruitment project. Like maybe in, it's better to look at your, if you're talking about your project, in the framework of first phase initiation, develop business case, align recruitment management, deliver project chart, assign recruitment management and develop project chart could be completed simultaneously. It's possible, but both of them will have one predecessor, develop business case. You need to find these dependencies yourself in your project. It depends only from essence of your project. Okay, here we've got already, and we use it to build our network diagram. Activity C, look, activity C and D, both of them have one predecessor. This is activity B. Okay, if activity B must be earlier finished on the 5th week, it means that activity C and D could be earlier start at the 6th week. Okay, we should consider duration. 2 weeks for activity C, 1 week for activity D. Okay. D. Duration. If we've got 2, 6 plus 2 minus 1, we've got 7 and here is 6. Let's consider further. Activity E has two predecessor, activity C and D. It's very interesting. If one activity has two predecessor, we should take the latest from two date of earliest finish of these activities. Look here. If we've got 6 and 7, the earliest beginning of activity must be after the longest from all of this should be completed. That's why it will be 8th week. Look here, it's easy to understand it from Gantt diagram. Duration is 2 weeks. That's why the earliest finish of activity E will be week number 9. Let's continue. As you can see, activity FG, both of them, has one predecessor, activity E. That's why if activity E at earliest could be completed on the 9th week, it means that activity F and G could be early start on 10th week. Duration of the activity F is 5 weeks. That's why it will be 14th, 10 plus 5 minus 1. And here will be Only 3, that's why the earliest finish will be 12. And let's continue. Very interesting is another situation. Look here. Activity F and J, H and J, I'm sorry, H, A, J, yes. Both of them has two predecessors, F and G. It means that both these activities could be started only after F and G will be completed. So that's why we need to take the bigger figure from this one and the beginning of both of these activities will be 15th week. Duration of activity Duration of activity H is 2. Duration of activity J is 6. How it can be calculated? 12 and 14. We take 14th, 15th, 15th. Okay, that's why 15 plus 2 minus 1, we've got 16. 15 plus 6 minus 1, we've got 20. And again, there is two activities KL after activity H and J. That's why, again, we should analyze which activity could be earliest later completed. 20. That's why beginning of both of these activities will be 21st week. Activity K has duration 2. Activity L has duration 3. Okay. The same calculation. 22, 23. Okay. Next one. MN. Again, MN could be completed after K and L. Here must be 24. 24. If duration of M is 2 weeks, that's why here will be. And N is only 1. Okay, and P, activity P, 24. Could be earliest begin at the 26th week. Duration is 2. And after activity P, the end, the earliest finishes at 27th week, we've got 3 simultaneous activity, QRS, QRS. Duration of Q is 2, duration of R is 3, and duration of S is 4. And last activity would be, as you have already understood, I hope, the same earliest start for B. Each of it will be 28, 28, 28. That's why this is the end of earliest finished. This is 30, 30th week, and this is 31st. According to same rule, if one activity, last activity painting, is successor for these 3 activities, that's why it could be start only when all of them will be finished. That's why we put here 20. Second week duration is 3 weeks, and at the end we've got 34. Okay, that's all for creating Gantt diagram. We don't need this description no more. So let's look how this is internal Gantt diagram. Tell me please, is this explanation clear for you? We were discussing how to cope with resource conflict during our previous practical classes, but okay, if you want, I will remind you, and then I will add here all calculating about budget. So, as you remember, I told you that duration of activity depends of amount of resources. That's why internally we plan that we've got only one specialist, one builder to cope with all our activities. By the way, before analyzing, we need to finish with our network diagram. I'm sorry, one moment. We use for it reserve path, reverse path. Reverse path. So here is at the last activity, the latest finished is already always the same as the earliest. That's why we just put here the same figure, and duration is 3, but here is up. This is float. What it is float? This is 3 items of time that we could change beginning of our activity. Float is calculated as difference between the latest finish minus earliest finish, latest start minus earliest start. Okay. If one activity has several predecessors, all of them will have the same latest finish. If there is 32, here will be 31. As you can see in this activity, this activity, initially we don't have such. There is no difference between these activities, that's why we've got 0 here. In this variant, we have a difference. How we should calculate the latest start? We should, from the latest finish, minus duration plus 1. We've got 29. And difference between them is 1. It means that we've got 1 float for this activity. I will show you how it is. The same here. 31 minus 2 plus 1. 30. The float is 2. Here, if one activity has several successors, and we need to find out the latest finish, we need to take the smallest figure from all of them. 27. As you can see, the same, there is nothing to calculate, the same situation. 2 activities has 1 successor. That's why we need to put 25. 25. Here is 24, no float. Here is 1 big float. And the latest finish is this one. Okay, let's consider what we've got here. Both activities, this earliest could be, latest could be start at the 24th week. That's why we've put here 23, also 23. There is no float. 21, 22, one week float only. Okay, again, 2 activities has 2 predecessor. We should take bigger figure from this, not bigger, smaller, sorry, smaller. Okay, if from these 2 successor, from 2 latest start, we should take smaller. Okay, 21 here must be 20, 20. Okay, 15. No. 20 minus 2 plus 1. Here could be 19. Plot 20 minus 16, 4. 19 minus 15, also 4. By the way, you can check if your calculation is right. On all activities that have these floats, difference between latest start minus earliest start, latest finish minus earliest finish must be the same as it is here, 1. Here it is 15 and this 6. And here is the same. Both of them has 2 successor. We need to take from this the smaller, or the smallest if there are a lot of them. 15, okay. 14, 14. 10, 5. 14 minus 3 plus 1 will be 12. Difference 14 minus 12, 2. 12 minus 10, 2. It's okay. Here, the same rule, 10. No float. 7th. 1 week. 0, 6. Okay, let's make another color G, activity G. One moment, I will explain what does it mean. H, G, Z, K, then N, one moment. D, then G, then H, after K, N, and QR. They also say have Q. Oh, they have float. What we've got? This red path, one by one, is critical path. Every project has its own critical path. What does it mean? We can't change duration of activities on this path if we don't want to enhance the duration of whole project. It's important. What does it mean? If we change the beginning of activity E, the delay will be 1 week, and we could stay only, and we could start it only on 9th week. According to this, we should move activity F further. And the same will be with all activities on our critical path. That's why we call it critical path. Okay. This is network diagram. Let's consider what type of resources we need to implement these activities. As you remember, our main is our builder. 1, 1. Again, 1, 1. To understand which labor force we need need to consider again our project. All the time you need to work with your description of project and your work breakdown structure. It's important. Without it, you can't cope with this. I will mark here what type of resources do we need here. B, again, builder. Activity C must be also completed by our worker. That's why we put here. And activity D also. F, activity G. This is door window frame. That's why for this activity, we want to invite another person. And here is how we should mark what kind of labor resources we need for this week. And for this week, for the 6th week, we need 2 specialists. We just mark it right now. Then we'll try to analyze it. Then again, and in this period of time, we need door and window master. After activity H and J, boss. All this time we need our main worker. Then we've got 2 activities, KL. For this, we need to invite Tyler. As you can see, if you got on week 2 activities per 1 person, here must be 2. If only 1, here must be 1. It's important. After, again, we need our main builder. And then again, activity P. For activity P, this is our lesson. We again need door and window master. And P, one moment, I'm sorry, MN. Activity and also must be completed by our main worker. And again, we need two specialists. Activity P lesson. Let's mark it appropriate. And then you can see activity Q should be completed by our main builder. Activity R must be completed by electrics. Let's mark it. Here it is. 1, 2, 3. And activity T must be done by plumber. And then again we come back to our builder. Okay, so let's consider our results. First of all, we've got several conflict resources. We need to have two builders at this period. To cope simultaneously activity C and D, we need additional to cope simultaneously activity H with activity J. Again, activity MN must be done simultaneously. And that's all. So this is three conflict of resources. What does it mean? We need to have additional item of our resources. Is it difficult? We don't know. Sometimes we could invite person, but in origin it's not good approach. Normally we're talking about resource graph. That shows us using of resources. For labor resources, it's extremely important to understand if we could get additional specialists, because you know that all specialists are busy with some project. And for instance, here we need to invite someone to work one day with our specialist to cope with this activity. So how to solve this problem? First of all, we need to understand if we could make this project longer, we can just move activity D, for instance, after activity C. So the same worker will be busy with this activity all the time, but as a result, we need to move all our project to we need to move all these activities, because as a result that we change this one critical path, all other activities also change their beginning. So we need 1 additional week, 2 additional weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4. So as a result, duration of our activity will be not 34 but 38 weeks. It depends of your approach. If it's normal for you, you can take this variant. No problem, as you wish. But normally, a lot of specialists wants to copy the project as fast as it's possible. This it's normal. How we should solve it? We could add one more worker to us, and it will help us, first of all, to solve this conflict of resources and to make this duration less than it is right now. Let's calculate it. If we invite 2 workers, the duration of activity A will be not 2 weeks, but 1, because during 2 weeks, 1 worker could cope with this, but during 2 weeks, during 1 week, 2 workers could finish it. As a result, we should move beginning of activity B. Gantt diagram is normally built by this earliest beginning of our network diagram. One moment, I think I should make this first variant. This is one moment. After changing, I will name it as the second type. Okay. Let's move activity B. You can see if we have duration of activity like 3 weeks and we plan to invite here 2 workers, this is a question. What will be the duration of it? We should use the same measure unit. That's why we can make a suggestion that both of these workers will be busy with this activity for 2 weeks. Okay. Let's move. This activity will be completed with 2 workers quicker and then after they'll be busy with activity D. Then activity E. Duration will be also not 2 weeks by 1. And then we should move. First, let's move our master. And again, we've got 5 weeks for one worker. We should make suggestions that both of them will be busy during three weeks. Okay, then after we can move. What we can see. Also, we need to move this one. What we can see here. During 10th and 11th week, one worker will be busy with activity H and the second with activity J. But after, they will be busy together with activity J. That's why we've got such interesting duration of activity J, from 6 to 4 weeks. Then there is gap, because we need to invite Tyler and there is no work for our builder. And look here, after there is only one conflict of resources that could be solved easily, just to change the earliest beginning. Why? Because we have already solved the problem from about duration. That's why after this period, after short period of holidays for our builder, we can stay only one. As a result, we need only one specialist. Again, we have gap. And then we can just move all this block. What does it mean? Okay, one moment. By the way, we haven't put here internally figures for our plumber, unfortunately. Okay, let's solve it problem right now. Okay, we've got builder here and here. Then we need electricals, electrician, one and one plumber. Okay, let's check our result. As you can see, we've got gap again for our builders. That's why we can move it. This is using our float. We can move beginning of activity queue after this gap to create only two break-in activities for our builder. So, what we have got as a result? Duration of our project will be 28 weeks. The first variant was 34. So we've got not so long duration. Then, after, I will show you how to calculate their salary. One moment for you, because I really don't plan to explain it again, because this is already the second or the third time. So about salary, after solving all conflict of resources, we could calculate their salary. It's not difficult. We just multiply their salary per week on amount of our specialists. So if you got two builders, we need to multiply their salary $400 on their amount. This is salary per every week, and this is cumulative salary. And this is how much money we should pay to each of our specialists. Builder, tire, plumber, door and window master, electrician. This is salary. Next one, we need to plan materials. For each of these activity, we need additional materials, not only labor, but also what we plan to use to cope with these work packages. Type of materials depends of type of what we plan to do at this period. For the first activity, we need equipment, excavator. Price, we don't need material, but we need equipment. This is additional type of resources that must be spent to cope with zero materials, only excavator. On the second activity, we need beams. Duration of this activity is 2 weeks. That's why we plan to spend some money for every week to cope with this activity. Then activity B, we need bricks and mortar. Duration is 1 week, and some we plan to spend $1,000. In your project, you can take figures as you wish. It depends of your willingness how to cope with these activities. It means what type of material do you need to use with it. It's not necessary to describe all types. You can describe just the most important and try to guess average sum of money that can be spent to purchase it. Okay, then activity D. Let's remain what it is. Oversized concrete. For this activity, we need concrete. Sum of money that could be spent is 1,500. Then activity G. No, I'm sorry. No. Not G. On 6 week activity E. Floor joist. We need here 2,000. Duration is 3. This is materials that we need to spend on activity. Main walls, we need breathing model, and additionally, don't forget, we need dome window frame. For cope with this activity, we need to plan additional expenses for our master. Don't forget, per each activity must be planned some materials. Then activity H. Thelen Joyce, we make suggestion. We have made a suggestion that we plan to spend $500. And here is September. And what we plan to spend here. By the way, take care. I need to move down. Take care about sum of money. As you remember, during these 2 weeks, one worker will be busy with activity H, and this is Thelen Joyce materials for coping this activity. Then he is busy, but during these 2 weeks, only one worker will be busy with activity J, root timber. And after, during these 2 weeks, both of them will be busy with this activity. That's why they need more materials. That's why here is 66, and during these 2 weeks, we need 1,200. Okay, let's continue. Here we need tiles for our tiler. As you can see, we need both of them. So, and here must be only half. Why? Amount of materials must be planned according to amount of labor force that will spend it to cope with our work package. This about tiles. Tiling boards. 2 weeks, both workers will be busy with it. Sorry, not. From this moment, as you remember, we've got only one worker, and this is expenses for materials to cope with this task. M, selling boards. And then, after skirtings, we think that we should spend 500 for it. And then again, we invite our specialist in door and window, and this is glassing. There's expenses for them. You should remember that you must purchase material not only for your own workers, but also for invited personnel. That's why I will show you how we should add here salary of foreman to cope with all these tasks. I mean management. You see, all these specialists are busy, must be busy only with their activities. They sometimes they could purchase materials, but you need to discuss it before starting work. Normally, in such project, all materials are bought by foreman of this project. So, and then, as you remember, activity cure, plastering, expense will be per several days. Then electrics. Duration of electrics will be 3 weeks, but for this activity we plan to pay necessary materials before starting. By the way, sometimes all materials could be purchased before starting some activities. I will show it in cash flow plan. Plumbing and heating. We think we need to spend. And the last one, through activity, this is we need to purchase paint, and we plan to purchase it through 2 weeks. And at the last week, we don't plan to purchase anything. We think that our workers will be busy with finishing, painting all our bungalow. Okay, so that's plan for resources. This is calculating expenses of materials for our budget. So we need to see all sum of money that must be spent on it. What it is? This is general amount of something wrong. We need this sum, not that one. This is whole sum of money that must be spent to purchase materials for this bungalow. This is sum of money that must be paid for salary. 25,000 and here is 38, almost 39,000. Also 3,000 for our equipment. Let's analyze our full budget with additional payment for our manager. So what we can see, our salary, let's analyze whole budget. Salary, we can take it from our calculation up. Then materials. Equipment. We need only excavator, but as an example, you need to understand how it must look like. And after, as you remember, I told you that we need to invite specialist who will be responsible for organizing all this process. This is manager for it. In huge project, if you're talking about management cost, it includes salary for all our project team, for office, for equipment inside it, and so on. But in our project, it's just enough to pay salary to our foreman. We plan to pay him $100 per week. Next one, if you remember, it was in our lecture, we discussed structure of expenses. Normally, we had administrative expenses are from 5 to 20% of whole budget. But normally it is planned according to whole sum of budget. Let's calculate it. General sum is 22,000. We need to take this line. I make it in appropriate color. Salary will be blue, for instance. The same figure, 25,100. Almost 39,000 per equipment. 300, and this is salary. 2080, and the general sum will be 69,700. Our management cost we plan as 5% of this sum, general sum of budget that we plan to spend in our project. And we just need to divide it. We've got 28th week, so sum of overhead and administrative expenses is about $124 for every week. This is overhead and administrative expenses. It includes payment for warehouse, for storaging, for delivering, and so on. All instruments that are not in management costs. But it also helps okay. This is main budget for our project. This is sum of money that we plan to spend every week. And the general sum that must be spent on this project is $7,300 $173,184. But as you remember, we've got two additional article in budget. We're talking about foreseeable risk and unforeseen risk. In this project, we plan only one potential negative risk. This is bad quality of concrete. Here it is, concrete. Activity B, activity D. Okay. And if you've got some difficulties with it, we need to choose our supply, and it will cause additional expenses. We plan to pay for concrete $1,500, so we plan the same sum as management reserve. And as you remember, I have told you that we've got a lot of unforeseen risks. It could be illnesses of our workers, delay of materials, delay of delivering materials, bad quality, and so on. In this situation, we need to get 20% of all budget for this period. Of course, we need to plan it for every week, almost the same sum of money. We take our whole budget, we multiply 20% of it. To calculate expenses for every week, we need to put this figure for every week, as you can see. And our finished variant of budget, including additional expenses on foreseeable and unforeseen risk, include our budget let's check what. It's okay. This is whole budget for our bungalow with additional resources for expectable and unexpectable risks. At the PNS, you can find document that is called Part 4, Budget plus Cash Flow, and here is all this figure with structure. The last instrument in planning budget is cash flow plan. It's not difficult, absolutely. It's about moving planning of financial resources according to period when we need it. We take the same elements of budget. Salary, we take week to week. It means we don't move payment of salary. We plan to pay it in that week when we need it. If we're talking about materials, of course, we need to move purchasing of our materials several weeks before beginning of these activities. Why? Because we need to have these materials before the beginning of activity. Because we need to have free time for delivery, to storage, to ready for use in production process, and so on. Equipment. As you know, we need equipment on our first day. By the way, to understanding it better, we can name these weeks before. -1, -2. Normally, for such equipment, we need to pay some part of money before beginning of our activity. It is in advance. That's why the second part of it must be paid on the third week. Okay, and then there is no planning financial resources for equipment. Manager salary for our foreman. It's normal to pay him not every week, but every month. And of course, it's normal to pay a little in advance. Overhead and administrative expenses. We could also move it because we need these expenses to purchase our materials. So it could be a little bit earlier. It's normal when there is no such expenses on the last week. And you should understand, this is average sum of money. Maybe you will get less, maybe even more. If you spend more than you plan, this part must be covered by expenses for unforeseen risk. That's why we make this reserve, because we could make some mistakes in our budget. Okay, about risks. Foreseen risk must be here, and unforeseen risk also must be in the same period. Okay, let's check. We must get the same figure as in budget. It's okay. No mistakes. This is our cash flow plan. To understand the difference between them, I will make diagram for you. As you remember, whole budget, and we normally calculate cumulative sum of it. This is our budget. This is our cash flow plan. And what else? Let's look what the difference between duration of our project is 28 week, but we need to add 2 additional weeks before beginning to plan financial resources to cope with our activities.